West Michigan Motorsports! Hoorah!
Hey everyone, welcome to West Michigan Motorsports. In this video, we're going to start the teardown of my 350X. Now if you go back to one of our videos, I did a whole comparison availment of my CRF 110 and the 350X. I made my pit bike look like my 350X. And I explained in the video what happened to the 350. There's a crack in the frame. They are notorious for having that happen. Honda used thin steel tubing on the frames of these 85s, 86. I'm a little bit stronger. Fortunately, it's happened to this one. So now it's time to tear it down, and I'm going to show you guys the process of it, and we're going to kind of go through, and I'm going to show you what we all got planned for it. So this is my 1985 Honda 350X. It's easily my favorite 3 I've ever owned. I've had the 87 Big Red, I had 84 200M, 85 250SX, and then if you guys remember in previous videos, I traded the 250SX for this 350X. Really good friend of mine, Jeff, gave me the opportunity to get my hands on it this past summer, and I just fallen in love with it. It's just such a badass trike. You just can't beat a 350X. It's, you know, they are the fastest, most powerful 4-stroke production 3-wheeler ever made. I mean, pretty much, you know, king of the hill. That's what Honda branded them as. And it's just, once you get on one and ride it, it's so much fun. I mean, the power and the torque that these things give off is just ridiculous. I mean, this motor is completely bone stock, but I do have the 223 cycles built, 400EX carb swapped onto there. Gives it a really good throttle response and a little bit more power advance on it. Highly suggest if you need to replace your carburetor or you just want a little bit more power out of it, go to 223cycles.net, order up that 400EX carb. But no joke, Curdy will do his magic on those carburetors, and it will make your 350X feel like a whole completely different animal. I cannot complain about the whole setup. It's just one of the best things that I've done to it. What do we have going on with this one? So we are going to tear this thing down all the way to every single piece and part pretty much, and get a gusset kit welded up on this frame. The frame is going to be a lot more stronger and more durable. As for other things, I do have the stock exhaust on there. I did find a stock header pipe to go for it because I like the look of the stock header pipe, especially with the heat shield. Unfortunately, this plastic guard that goes in the heat shield is melted over the years. And these are hard to find, very hard to find. Before, I had this DG header pipe on it, and there's no header shield or the heat shield to go on there. It's just an open pipe. And I will admit, in the summertime, if you're riding, it's pretty warm outside, that pipe does get hot by your legs. So just wanted a little bit extra protection. The header pipe came with the heat shield, so I put it on. A couple other things on this. I ended up getting a ATC rear skid plate for the bottom there. New chain sprockets. I did Sunstar sprockets with a DID chain. We have a Serwa tires Pro Vector front tire on this. This is actually meant for 85 to 86 ATC350R, but it's the same tire for a 350X, and I just love the look of the stock looking tire on it. I ended up finding a gusset kit on eBay. It was a pretty good price. It was around $100, and it comes with a lot of different pieces for the frame. So, and what I do like, it's got all these dimples on it. Kind of gives it a little bit different style to them. They are still pretty strong for holding the frame and everything. So, what I do like about this though too is it gives you a whole kind of install instruction with it, as well as pictures too, to show you where all these gussets go. It's even got, look, it's even got the numbers of what each part is and where they go. And I think when that frame is out getting powder coated, I'll send the rear shock out to get rebuilt. I don't think it's ever been touched or rebuilt in its life. So I have a local guy that I send my shocks to. We're gonna get that rebuilt. And I'm gonna attempt to rebuild the front forks. I have not dealt with 350X forks yet. I've dealt with Big Red and 250SX. Those are pretty easy to mess with. These ones are spring forks, but they do have air in them. So you can see these little caps on there for air nozzles. So they do have some air and fluid in them as well, I believe. So I'm going to try to rebuild them. Curdy at 223 Cycles does sell fork seals for these. He does sell boots as well. These, I believe, are the older style Polysport boots. The ribs on these are actually a lot bigger, and there's less ribs in a row on these boots, whereas the stock ones you can see there are really tight, and there's a lot more ribs on them. That's what the stock ones look like. You still can get the stock boots from Honda. They're $80 for 2 boots, depending on what Honda store you get from them, but I'm going to go with the stock OEM boots just because I like the stock OEM look. But besides the suspension and getting the frame all power coated, I think that's as far as I'm going to go with it. We need to get this thing done before the end of January. Right now, it is December 18th, so we got a little over a month to get this done. We are taking this up to Tip Up Town this year. If you guys look back at our previous videos, our Tip Up Town trips, and there's some things planned for that trip. Probably shouldn't unveil it now, but people have been asking and people have been wondering, so I'll tell you guys now. So, if you guys seen back in our previous Tip Up Town videos, I made the infamous Honda ATSKI. I first started it on my 84 200M. Wasn't the greatest design setup I had. Then I got my 87 Big Red, had the ATSKI 2.0. It worked until I hit an ice heave or something on the lake and flipped it and bent the ski and everything else.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna fix it.
Really? Redesigned how I clip the tracks together. So then this past year, 2023, we went back up, had the ATSKI 3.0. We straightened the ski up, tied the tracks up a little bit better. But since then, the 87 Big Red has departed, and now we have the 350X. So obviously that means, because this is going to be the only three-wheeler going up to Tip Up Town, we're going to do an ATSKI kit on the 350X. So before the 87 Big Red, I had a steel Polaris ski that I used for the front. It was a little bit heavy to kind of maneuver around a turn. I got my hands on a couple plastic Polaris skis. We're going to attempt to try it and get one installed in the 350X. For the tracks, we're not running tracks on this. I'm actually making a setup for Kyle from OldSchoolHondas. We're making a kit for him. He, after I sold the original ski, the ATSKI, to our buddy Daniel at Southern Off-Road, Kyle loved the idea and everything about the ATSKI, so he's going to get the tracks that were on the Big Red and new ski made. I do have one steel ski left. He said he wanted to run with the steel ski. And since we're not using the tracks on the 350X, I actually have the tires and wheels that came off of this when I first got it. They are the Woolly Booger tires. We're going to stud those for Tip Up Town because we're at a lake, we're at Holton Lake, and it's mostly all ice on the lake, and if there's no snow, we're just ice riding. So we're going to put studded tires and an ATSKI on the front of this thing. And then if we end up getting snow, I do have a set of Atsu Pro wedges. Atsu Pro wedges are like these sand/snow tire. A lot of guys use them for dirt and stuff as well. They are really soft tires, so if you do use them a lot in like hard dirt and stuff, they will wear down and start to crack and whatnot because of the old age. So that's the future plans for the 350X. Just continue on this video. I'm going to keep on putting some more stuff in as we tear this thing down and just kind of show you guys the process of what we're going to be doing. All right, the teardown has started, and she's not looking the same anymore. More skin and bones, pretty much. So, we'll show you guys what we got done so far. But pretty much you can see what's all missing so far. Airbox, tank, handlebars, the electrical harness, which is like nothing compared to anything else. I'm used to like a big red harness that's like a mile long, and that's literally the whole wiring harness. And the motor is pretty much ready to get taken out. I just got to take all the motor mount bolts out. I'm gonna take the wheel off and then take the forks out of the triple trees. I could have taken the whole front end off and just done it there, but it's a lot easier when the triple trees are up on the frame. You loosen the bolts and slide the forks out, because I am going to be rebuilding the forks. So that'll be done after the motor is taken out, and then we'll get to the rear end, prep the swing arm for paint. So what's nice about this machine is it's literally, there's nothing much to it. It doesn't take a lot of time to tear it down, but I've required some boxes and totes to help organize all the parts and everything. A lot of the stuff's gonna go in the other barn just for storage. But it's really nice just to kind of keep all your stuff all in one place rather than all on top of workbench and you start to lose things. So I got the 400EX carburetor inside a bag right there, just to kind of, in case if there's a little bit of gas left in there, just not leaking all over everything. Ziploc bags, and you label them, put all your bolts and stuff in there. Helps you in the long run when trying to organize all your parts. That's kind of my process, what I like to do. Just kind of helpful hints, you know, labeling all your stuff so you remember where everything's at. Taking pictures is a big thing too. Make sure before you tear it down, take a good like side shot picture, because I've had it where I work on a project, I don't get to it for a while. I'm like, oh, how does this run? Where does this go? Now it's time to take the motor out by myself, see if I can do it. Pinching fingers. I don't know which side's easier, if it's easier on the other side or this side. Thinking maybe the other side, because this bracket's here as well as the chain slide, so I'm gonna try the other side. There we go. A lot easier from this side. Now I can tell that this motor has been out before, because a lot of the motor mount bolts had anti-seize on them. Honda didn't put anti-seize on the bolts. A lot of different things too, like there's a rubber mount right there. There's a bunch of anti-seize around that bolt there. Nothing wrong with the anti-seize. Helps so they don't seize up over time, but you can definitely tell, it definitely shows me that the motor's been out of this before. Hoping that that's the OEM motor to this machine. I would think it would be. All right, it's now 1 in the morning. I decided to continue on with tearing this thing down. Probably take the power washer to it. I'll cover up some of the holes, and it's got some residue and crap all over it. Get it all washed up, cleaned up. As far as the front end, it was pretty straightforward to take apart, just like any other ATC or three-wheeler. If you need to change out bearings, steering bearings, this goes for most three-wheelers. From factory, they did the old style ball bearings for the steering stem. And so I'm not going to use the old style. I mean, I've done before where I've taken them apart and did the ball bearing style. But I think I'm just going to do the new style bearings for the steering stem. And so I think to wrap up the night, I'm going to take the original label off there. That's the original label for this frame. And reason why is because when it gets sandblasted, it's going to come off. Our new sponsor, Bruce, Blue Line Graphics, does reproduce these stickers, and you can put whatever date it is that your machine is. And it looks exactly like that sticker with the correct date that you need for your machine. All right, well, it's time to clean the motor. So I bought a can of WD-40. So I sprayed the entire thing, capped off a lot of the ports and stuff so we don't get water inside it. So power wash is done. And then the power wash will help get a lot of the dirt and mud and stuff that's stuck around in areas. So the frame is completely bare. All that's left is just take the skid plate, chain guide, and clean up the swing arm here. We're gonna give that a coat of paint. We got the boys over tonight. Gino's making his wires look a little bit more pretty on his golf cart.
Hillbilly Express.
Hillbilly Express. What are we calling this one? The Wet Dream. We're calling the Wet Dream. Yeah. Elliot and David's golf cart is the skid mark. This is the Wet Dream.
We got dreams on being an electrician.
And we end up picking up a new welder. Weld's a lot better. That's what we'll be using to weld up the Gusset kit on the 350 frame. So we'll check in with you guys once we get some more progress. All right, well, about 3 days later, all the parts came in from Rocky Mountain ATV. So we got the OEM fork boots, and the fork boot clamps, and the fork seal kit. I ended up getting an OEM shifter, so I got they still sell the rubber pieces for the shifters, exhaust gasket, and then the steering bearing kit. I'm not a huge fan of Tusk or All Balls. Rather go OEM, but Rocky Mountain ATV, if you go $75 or more, get free shipping. So we'll try those out and see how they do. Just a heads up in case you didn't know, if you end up doing this new style bearings, you do have to take the bottom race out, the OEM, if it's still there, in order to put the new bearings on. In case of also you didn't know, so this is actually a new Honda badge. You can get this at Vintage Motorsports Restorations, or if you go to VMS Mike on Instagram, Mike Palmgren sells reproduction stuff. My handlebars are from there. He sells brake reservoirs and a bunch of other parts for 350Xs and other ATCs as well. Then the paint came in for the swing arm. Preston actually suggested this. Believe it or not, actually Mike Palmgren suggested to get this. This is the closest color spray paint to the Honda Cloud Silver. So we're gonna use that color for the swing arm when we paint it. I still have to do a bunch of prepping to this to get ready for paint. All right, we got the swing arm primed, as well as we got a coat of paint on the header pipe as well. It's looking pretty good. Got a couple other parts painted as well. Okay, it's time to start prepping for welding. Good buddy Dylan came over and gave me some pointers and tips of what to do to kind of start with getting the gussets ready. Ended up getting this Milwaukee die grinder to help prep for the gussets to weld them in. And we got everything laid out. That's what I really like about this gusset kit. It's come with instructions as well as like a diagram for the parts, all the pictures needed. Helps a lot with knowing where things have to go. Like for example, there is a gusset that's going to be going in this area, and it says to cut this part of the gusset out because this gusset actually goes to where the rear brake mount is. This is the rear brake mount. You have to cut it off right there, take it off, but leave some extra material there to weld the new gusset onto it, or weld this to the new gusset, as well as, you know, telling you where to weld everything else, all the plates. Oh boy. Probably should have wore a mask. I'm gonna have red stuff everywhere on me. Red powder coated paint. We're getting somewhere. Let me show you guys. We're starting to get some paint go out of the way. I did forget there's a couple things on this frame in order for the gussets to work. Like I said, we gotta cut this, remove this entire bracket, so I probably should cut that so I can get a little more paint off in this area, as well as there is a neck gusset that goes up here too that wraps around like this, and it does say you have to cut this. This is like the air dam for the air box, the intake. You have to cut this off, re-weld it back on when you're done putting this gusset on. So I'm gonna have to cut that off so I can get a little more paint out of that area. We are pretty much wrapping it up with the Gusset kit. We're pretty much wrapping it up. I gave Dylan his payment of pizza for helping out. He's a way better welder than I am. Welds aren't perfect. We're no professionals, but it's getting the job done for sure. And it's going to be stronger than ever. Better than the Japanese kid that welded it back in '85.
Yeah, man, look at this.
Yeah.
Even got a hole in the front hole there. Look at this. Crap.
Gracious. Crap. I mean, so yeah, we're getting somewhere. We just have...
We're not getting nowhere.
We're not getting nowhere?
Yeah.
Why?
We ain't got no snow.
Yeah, we ain't got no snow. Yeah. We'll see if the tip-up town trip will be worth it for this, but we'll still get it done. All we have left is a couple pieces. These two are meant to go on this side where, you know, there's the crack. These are actually meant to go on each side of here. Well, the frame is all welded up, finally. We got some cleaning up to do with some of the welds and some of the spots that's on there, but I got the kit off of eBay. It's actually Vintage Powersports Supply is where I got the Gusset kit from. I do like the style of the Gusset kit with the dimples, the dimple dies in there, and comes with a lot of different gussets, and it worked out good. So luckily I had Dylan help me with the welding. He's much better at welding than I am. I hate to say it, but that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Part 2 of this video is going to be when the frame gets back from the powder coater, and we're gonna start assembling this thing and getting ready. He says it's gonna be about a week out, and I think we'll get it put back together within the amount of time until Tip-Up Town. If you guys don't know what Tip-Up Town is, check out our previous videos from the years past. It's a winter festival up in Holton Lake, Michigan. We go every year, and it's a lot of fun. Hopefully get the ice set up for the 350. We'll see. Make sure to subscribe, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Appreciate you guys watching these videos. Appreciate all the support. Hopefully this year we hit 1,000 subscribers. If we do, I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. So when the time comes, we'll figure it out. So take care. See you later.